Hi, friends, and welcome to a late episode of Creating Things Together. It's been quite a while since we have released an episode.
It has been a hot minute.
And we are back with style and a wide-angle lens. If you're watching the video version of this, we're doing a trial run of this angle. There's something that speaks to us about this, but we're not sure if we're going to keep it yet. But
there's something that we like, but there's also something that's like, this is a little bit odd. So we have the GoPro Max with the super fisheye view, the 180 degree angle thing, and it's kind of cool.
And the front facing screen.
Yeah, so it's really nice, except for when it turns off.
It turns off every minute,
but it's cool.
So
it's fine.
Now we can't see ourselves anyway. But we're back.
We've been gone for a while. We have reasons. We have excuses. In this episode, it's just going to be a bunch of those excuses, a little bit of housekeeping, some updates, and then
hopefully some tips on creating things together.
Yeah, that's important too.
I don't want it just to be like, hi, we're back. These are all of the things that have been happening in our lives, and we don't have any value to bring other than just complaining.
Yeah, no. I think that there'll be tips.
That's
you just
what you
have
get
to
from politics, and I'm not here for that. We are not politics, Christina.
I don't think we
We
are.
are not politics.
You're so
We are not politics, okay?
I don't like that.
Okay?
That makes me uncomfortable.
We are not politics.
What do you say? It's requested that you.
Yeah. Whenever you bring these things up, I now have to explain them, and I don't know how to explain this one.
Our inside jokes aren't really funny to other people. It is requested.
The Marines. The Marines have an interesting way of talking when they do like a ceremonial sort of expression whenever they're in some sort of ceremonial situation, and it's always hilarious. The English do this too, but it's different. Like with the Queen's Guard.
Yeah.
They just scream though.
Yeah.
Step away from the Queen's Guard! That's what they do.
I was just about to request that you don't scream, but then you did it. So
that's why I lean back.
Thank you for that.
I have good mic etiquette, okay. Christina. We both knew how to be on
Okay,
stage.
so do the...
Oh, dear God, nobody's listening. Okay, so...
really quick, joke, and then into the whole video.
Yes.
What podcast, whatever we're doing.
So we're going to catch you guys up. We want to be doing these things consistently again. One of the issues we had last time was that it was very, very difficult to set up our setup for this thing. We would specifically using a video component,
right?
Because we had to take one of our desks, our white desks, and slide it over into the middle of the room, and then set up everything on top of said desk. And that was something that made us not ever want to record a podcast.
And then remember we brought like all of the lamps in here.
And all the lighting.
It was just, so honestly, we figured, you know what, a podcast is designed for your little ear holes, and if your little eye holes want to see the podcast, then you will deal with the super fisheye. But I noticed that you dodged the joke. Are we just not going to address the King's Guard? Or no,
that's why I mentioned it.
No, you didn't.
I explained it.
You did the King's Guard, but...
Well, I didn't want to get into the context of everything.
That's fine. It's not a big deal. Life goes on.
The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, there are Marines there that guard it indefinitely, forever. They are constantly on guard. It's a ceremonial type of thing. And whenever somebody hops the fence or does something inappropriate, one of the guards will go, "It is requested that you do not
disturb,
lean on the fence."
Oh yeah.
And the voice that they use is just hilarious, but I feel very inappropriate saying that.
I know, that's kind of weird
because
we're kind of making fun of the military.
It's a very honorable thing.
God bless America. Okay, let's
it's
just
beautiful,
move on.
But it's also funny.
Trump's gonna take our podcast down.
We're next. Yeah, I knew we were on his short list for a while, but we've definitely gone to the top.
Okay, can I just hop into why I was a little bit absent-minded in the podcast and passive in the passing of the podcast?
Torch to the King's Guard.
Over the last couple of months.
Oh my gosh, that sounds fun.
Okay,
let's listen to that.
So I'm a perfectionist, and it's kind of a problem, but it just makes us better.
I think I made you into that, and I'm very sorry.
Yeah, you're a freaking monster. You know that?
I'm a perfectionist, and I made her into more of a perfectionist than me. The reason why I know that I probably made her into that is because you weren't I was never traditionally. I believe that everybody's creative, right? We're fundamentally creative creatures, but you were not traditionally creative before we started hanging out. And then we started hanging out, and I made you creative.
I'm triggered.
And so maybe you just had that perfectionistic approach to life in you, and in other areas. Mm-hmm. But I think you probably started, and then I taught you how to be very, very perfectionistic and creativity. That's my guess, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, I'll correct you, and I'll stop you from talking because I was in the middle of a whole thing. So
I apologize.
Thank you. I love you so much, and we're just best friends.
Things together. Just apologize a lot, even if you don't mean it.
So my perfectionism kind of stunted me, and I mean, you hear people talk about this all the time. It's better to put out something that's not perfect and just put out stuff. I believe that to an extent. I mean, I've got my standards.
Perfection is the enemy of good. People say.
Sure. Document over create, or
that's another variant.
Phrases.
For sure. Yeah.
So my version of perfectionism was essentially not copying other people's formats, but really being inspired by other people's formats and going, it needs to be XYZ before we start.
Yes.
We've made 20 episodes, which is nice. That's an accomplishment. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But throughout making those episodes, I've been editing other people's podcasts, mainly That Creative Life. And with that podcast, like, I put some freaking work in because Sarah Dici has expectations and standards, and it's my job to meet those. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm working, so obviously I need to hit her standards. But I started making her standards my standards, and I've done this multiple times just over my time working with Sarah. And granted, working with her makes me so much better as a creative, but it also makes me go, okay, montages can't be longer than XYZ because that's what Sarah says and what she says goes. And honestly, that's not how creativity works. That's how it works for her. And when I'm working for her, I need to hit those marks. And obviously, learning from that makes me better. But I can, if I don't want to do that, if I want to make my montages 15 seconds, by golly, I can. Not when I'm editing her video, but I can when I'm editing mine. So just kind of going through that learning process, I think was one of the reasons that stunted my ambition for continuing podcast episodes, among other things that we'll get into a little bit later on. But you look like you're itching to say something, so I'm going to take a breath and let you speak.
I just want to ask you a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Why do you think that you adopt other people's standards? Like Sarah's and sometimes mine too, I think. Right?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What do you think it is in you that prioritizes that you would adopt those standards?
That's really interesting. That was actually a good question.
Thank you.
I'm really impressed.
You thought I was going to say something stupid, right? I was just going to make a statement that was outrageous.
Bananas.
Wednesday.
So I think one of the reasons that I do that is from the very early parts of my creativity journey, which is when you were teaching me how to edit, and I was like, how does this look? How does this look? How does this look? And you're like, that's not good. And
lots of feedback.
Just too much feedback. And a lot of my early designs just look like your designs. And honestly, I didn't really like them, but I was like, well, if James says this looks good, then I guess that's the standard. So I think I pick certain people out where I really value their opinion because they really inspire me. And yes, that would be you as one of those people.
I had that thought in my head.
You're like, oh,
is she saying that
me?
I inspire her?
There you go.
What?
I won't say those words because then it makes me feel vulnerable, but you can say that.
Are you scared of making me so ignorant? Like, I'm sorry, not ignorant. So arrogant that you can't like walk into the same room without running into my head.
I'm suffocating. He's sucking up all the air. But yeah, I think I just take certain people's opinions as the word of God, creative wise. And yeah, a negative thing, and I kind of have to have moments of, you know what, screw what James says, because I like this edit, and I don't care if he thinks that it's rushed, or I don't care if he thinks it takes too long. And I support just confidence in that.
I support that. But what do you think is the way that you want to balance that in the future?
I don't know. I think I'm just going to be insecure forever. And that's about it.
Okay. I've had to combat
I think I know what it is.
some of that with you, where you'll say, wait, isn't this thing like a rule?
James used to say you're not allowed to crop photos, and I looked over at him editing.
I don't remember
one day,
ever saying that.
And he was cropping the crap out of a photo, so much so, I mean, it kept its resolution or whatever, but it looked like a different image. And I was like, what are you doing? Who do you think you are? Like, if you were a good photographer, you would have framed it up properly.
Yeah. I wish I had recordings of those conversations, because I don't think I ever said that it was a rule that you had to crop a photo, or that you couldn't crop a photo.
Or like straighten the horizon. I thought that was like a sin.
Oh.
Or yeah.
Weird.
There's so much stuff.
So
like, for example,
she says she's come back to me with the things that I've said to her apparently in the past, and allegedly in the past, and I'll have to go, no, it's just a good idea to not do this. It's a good idea to straighten the horizon, for example. Right? I straighten the horizon all the time. It's a good idea to do that. It's not a rule. You can go full Dutch angle if you want. But it's a good idea to understand what that means for the photo and how it's communicating to people.
I think
so. I've had to combat that now, and I've had to help you understand that at least whatever happened in the past, now almost everything is a guideline. It's not a rule.
Yeah, guidelines typically are rules.
A rule is like, you have to do this or it's wrong. A guideline is, here is a list of things that will help you in your process. This is probably a good idea for your art, and there are different reasons why those guidelines exist, but guidelines can be followed or broken.
Yeah. So that's why I kind of was a bit passive on the podcast and not pushing like, we need to record an episode.
Is that because the podcast you wanted to perfect it and it couldn't be perfected?
Well, yeah, it's like this room is kind of echoey, and it still probably is. Yeah. And I just remember
it's too imperfect.
Yeah, it's too imperfect.
Too uncontrolled.
But there's so much that I want to talk about.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, sorry if your ears are bleeding, but here you go. Here's us talking about it. And then also, honestly, we're just trying to make money. We got back from a trip to Florida. I don't even know if we spoke about that on the podcast. I had some visions that I wanted to like hit, kind of like group expeditions. That was a big goal of mine this year. Those goals have shifted. I still want to do those, just not right now. And
that's very smart of you to see that, though. Like, okay, it's just not quite the time for it yet, but I'm gonna put that on the shelf.
That's definitely on the shelf, and it's like forefront of the shelf.
Our non-centered shelf.
The shelf is centered now.
It's centered now. We had where you guys are currently sitting on the video version, we had a drawer unit sitting there, and we had our desks split apart. And because of that, for like 6 months, the shelf that is above your heads was off center, and we were too lazy to recenter it. So we finally decided today, upon doing some upgrades to our situation here on the desk, we're just going to move the desk back together. And it's a beautiful thing. It's now centered again.
Yeah.
It was centered with the desks. That's why anyway.
So yeah, money making was kind of the top of our priority in terms of we need to pay bills, and I want to be able to make the money that I need to make in order to travel, experiment creatively, and do really anything that I want. So we're kind of in that place for now. Huge disclaimer, we are freelancers, so fam, this can change in 30 days. We're just happy and lucky. Not lucky. You create your own luck. We are happy and stoked, blessed, and all sorts of synonyms to be working with the companies that we're working with. And obviously we'll talk more about that in future episodes. We're doing a lot of work, and now we're in a place where like I'm really interested in freediving, and I really want to like, what if I could just get into underwater filmmaking? I live in a desert, just a huge disclaimer, there's not too much ocean around me.
Valid.
But I can take the step now that I have like the money to be a little bit experimental. I can. It's a massive risk, but like I want to learn how to freedive, and I think I want to learn how to film underwater, because that might be my next step. Like, we're not going to be freelancers forever. I'm going to be like...
That would be a break away from me, talking about creating your own path.
Yeah.
That would be a breakaway from me, because I think filming underwater, for the most part, is relatively uninteresting, but it's something that makes you really excited.
Yeah.
So you can separate yourself from me in that way.
Yeah. Really, I just want to be like in the ocean underwater.
Valid.
So that's... Gosh,
you are a fish. You're a fish in Utah.
Yeah. I don't know. We haven't booked tickets yet, but while they're listening to this, like we could be... Swim, like freaking dive in.
Going to Maui.
Yeah. I think that would just be so cool. Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm interested in. And money doesn't buy happiness, but it buys opportunity, sort of. It pays for opportunity. That's what it is. Money doesn't buy happiness, but it pays for opportunity. And opportunity can make you happy sometimes. But it's not like, that's not the goal.
It can contribute to you being a happier person.
Yeah.
I think that you shouldn't rely on money to make you happy. But
there's a point where money just kind of starts to look like numbers.
It's a tool to be used for various purposes. Yeah. And those purposes are useful. They could be used to give you opportunities and types of happiness that you wouldn't have before, and also tools to be used to help other people. Yeah. And that's but I think that we overemphasize money in our society a lot. I think that money is it is a tool, and that's it. Right? It's a powerful tool, but I think we can't put too much emphasis on it. It's only one part of the equation of life. Yeah. So, can I talk about something I want to talk about really quick, Christina?
I suppose.
Okay. So I wanted to...
Another good thing about our setup right now is that we have our monitors right in front of us. So if we forget about what we're talking, we can just pivot and go, oh, James wants to talk about thinking what this podcast has been.
Way too big in front of us right now.
It's huge. It's massive.
It's obnoxious.
I can check my email right now.
You could. That'd be a fun episode.
Chick-fil-A
right?
just emailed me. Hey, Christina, need a time card delivered before Christmas
by December 1. Have it delivered in time for Christmas.
What is a time card?
Oh my gosh, Christina, you were just talking about how you wanted your Chick-fil-A time card the other day.
Yeah. Thanks, Chick-fil-A.
What does that even mean? What does that do?
Well, do I work for them?
Hold on. Yeah. Are you inadvertently applying for a job?
I don't think so.
They send you a time card. Oh, shucks. Now I work for Chick-fil-A.
That's how they hire.
I'm no longer a freelancer.
I guess this is my pleasure to be here.
You wake up, like I wake up and I go to my desk, and then you get out of bed, walk over crying, and you're wearing a Chick-fil-A uniform. You're like, I have to go to work today.
I don't know why.
It was the email.
It was the email. Oh, man.
I wanted to talk about what this podcast has been historically and what we hope for it to kind of be in the future. I think historically, we both agree that it started on a better foot than our YouTube life started on.
Yeah,
because
people can actually describe what the podcast is about. Exactly. As opposed to like, oh, what is your YouTube channel about? We make videos about the creative process. Right.
Our last name is Red. we are a plural version of that, and we make videos about stuff. It's about what we got going on for us.
Thank you. Goodbye.
When it comes to creating things together, we branded it really well. There's a lot of forethought. I look at our artwork for the podcast that you made, and I'm like, dude, we did a freaking good job.
I know. I was thinking of rebranding, sort of, but that's just too much work right now. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, creating things together is the best, and you should totally subscribe if you haven't on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere that you listen to podcasts. Make sure you rate and review, because that really helps us out in the algorithm. Yeah.
You should put that at the end of every episode as a recorded thing.
Thank you for watching and listening.
We have like a little sting, like a little do 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 jingle, right? Thank you for listening, and then you do that, and then that's how they know the episode is over.
Dun,
right?
Dun, do, 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 do. Okay. Continue talking. Where this
so
podcast
we've had a relatively clear vision for kind of what we're trying to do with this thing.
Yeah, dude.
And it's been around us talking about our journey and creating things together. Mm-hmm. Now, the journey that I'm on now with this podcast, I'm really passionate about this podcast. I think there's a lot of good things that can come from this. I love having conversations, and it's not a part of my life enough with everybody, but uniquely with you with this. It's really cool that I get to have this conversation with you. We're holding both hands right now, something we would never do naturally. This is outrageous. In fact, I'm very uncomfortable, and your hands are sweaty.
I know your hands are cold, which is why I'm still holding them, because it's like cooling me off.
Oh, well, that's okay.
Ironically, because it's weird, we live and work and breathe together, but we don't really have long conversations like this. So I was like, ooh, I get to talk to James for an hour.
Normally,
and we have to stay focused.
If we don't, one podcast is enough to cover the amount of conversation that we normally have an entire week without a podcast.
The amount of focused conversation.
That's what, like actually like connecting with each other. And so it's really fantastic from that perspective.
Your leg is too low.
Touch the air above my leg. But we want to move forward and make this a more well-defined thing, right?
This is gonna be our big thing, babe. That's not true.
I want to lean more. I was thinking like, okay, what is this about, right? Because sometimes I have to redefine what everything in my life is about, all these projects we have going on. Because we have, 27 of them going on at one time. I might be getting a drum kit soon, and I'm like halfway to starting a music YouTube channel, and I definitely want to start an Instagram for my
it's gonna be, we live in an apartment complex, so it's gonna be an electric drum kit. So
making some electronic beats.
Listen,
be rowdy.
The YouTube channel is just you hitting the drums without the sound.
yes just the sound of the little mesh heads. If you guys don't know, what electronic drum kits, the heads on the drum kit, the part you hit if you're not a drummer, they are basically made out of what a trampoline is made out of. Take a trampoline, stretch it way too tight, and hit it with a giant drumstick, and that's what the sound you would get. And so I've always hated electronic drum kits for that reason, but I've realized in my apartment, I'm making a turnaround, because this is a really good way. I can do this without disturbing my neighbors, but also, listen, I can make my drums make whatever sounds I want them to make. I can make my floor tom be a duck.
No way.
Yeah. I can do whatever I want, and that's really interesting.
That's an example, though. When we were like young kids, we weren't dating. We were like 11 at the time. James played an electric drum kit, and he was always crapping on it, like, this is the worst. I was
pretty dogmatic about that, and I'm still kind of dogmatic in a live setting.
So that's one of those James Nazi things where it's like, James is getting an electric drum kit? What?
Right. But it's the context that counts. Mm-hmm. That's what matters.
So what would you describe the definition of the podcast as?
Well, I would say that we are trying to help people create things together. It's literally that simple.
It's a pretty good title of a podcast. Right. You should probably subscribe on Apple Podcasts.
I love it. I love that we named it that way, because I think that's a really strong direction. I think that we're able to speak to people who are creating things with other people, whether that be their spouse or
a team,
girlfriend, boyfriend, or
just a coworker, or like a
just
creative
coworker, a team, a friend, a dog,
a client,
a duck,
a whale.
You can pretty hard to create with whales. They can't use the keys.
No, dude, we're gonna swim with whales in 2020.
They can't use the keyboard
or 2021.
So you can't like teach Illustrator to a whale. It's very sad. It's really the untouched problem in society right now.
You're wrong.
How do whales illustrate?
I don't need to explain myself. You're just wrong.
I'm just saying.
So
let's all think about this. How do whales illustrate?
You're wrong.
All right. Well,
whales can.
I'll have to take some more notes, and we can dedicate an entire episode to that. But yes, it's that. And so the question is where do we go with that? How do we plant a tree out of that seed?
I think the way that we do that, this is just off the top of my head.
Okay.
We share our creative journey in a concise and entertaining fashion. What we're working on that week, how we're like communication with a client. We recently, and we can go a little bit deeper into this on another episode, but we recently basically told a client like, hey, we don't do this. I know that you're paying us a lot of money, but just because you're paying us a lot of money doesn't mean that we're going to do whatever you're wanting to do. This is our specialty, and
Get out of my house.
Get out of my house. So that could be
office.
That could be like how we communicate about our creative process.
Right.
And we also have guests on because guests know way more than we do. Honestly, I don't know what we're doing here.
They have, what's interesting about guests? A couple things. One is we can bring on somebody who knows a lot about something very specific that we don't know a lot about.
What is that? Like we know about everything. What are you talking about?
We can literally make our podcast more interesting because we bring on somebody who is an expert in film photography or something like that. Maybe that's a bad one. An expert in we could bring on a psychologist, right? And like Cody Wanner's wife, right?
That's embarrassing that you can't pronounce his last name.
Wayner.
Stay tuned.
Waynerchuk. Cody Waynerchuk. Done. That's happening for all of the future. His wife.
Yeah.
She is.
She could talk about their creative process.
She went to college.
Yeah.
She went to college, Christina.
I wonder what that's like.
Exactly. And she finished college.
How dare you touch my shoulder? Who do you think you are?
Yes,
the point. I get your
halfway,
point.
and that's beautiful.
I didn't go halfway, dude. I dropped out like a minute.
You went 20% of the way.
Not even. I went like 5% of the way and got hit by a semi truck. Did I tell
like
that story on the podcast?
So it's plants, so it's a little bit different.
Have I told that story? The semi truck?
No, that's another. Can we save that one for another one? Because that's a whole situation.
Yeah. Anyway,
Christina died.
I get your point. I didn't almost die.
We could have.
I just got hit by a semi truck. It's not like not big a deal.
We could have his lovely wife come. We could have his lovely wife come on and talk about how we could communicate better.
I think that would be so fun.
Right?
Yeah. We should go to where they live on the East Coast.
We should.
Pennsylvania.
Now.
Philadelphia. Philadelphia is in Pennsylvania. Where's Philadelphia? Is that in Boston? Boston's not a state.
Philadelphia, I think, is Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't think of another state that would finish
clearly
that statement. I live in Philadelphia, Nebraska.
Idaho.
Right?
Yeah. Clearly, I didn't finish college because I don't know the globe.
Okay. So not only that, expertise, right? We could pull on that expertise and we could do that as much as we want to. That's really fun, right?
Yeah. There's like a billion people on the world.
And not only that, we just have perspectives, right? Like we have our friend Viper.
We should have your mom on an episode.
We have my mom. That'd be great.
That would be so fun.
That would be really interesting. But we have Viper on. He is an interesting example of creating together in a completely different way because he does live streams with other people like every freaking night.
Yeah.
And he has an interesting perspective that we don't have because we're not him. And that will allow us to touch this creating things together problem from all different angles. And that's exciting.
Yes. I'm going to stop you before you name drop any of our upcoming guests so that there could be like an element of like, oh, who's coming up next? Looking forward to having Cody and Viper on the podcast. Next is Judge Judy.
Don't forget Dr. Phil and Tony Robbins. So
God,
pretty good.
No, not at all.
Real excited for that one in April.
Okay, so let's shift. Skirt. We just made a left turn.
Heyo.
All right. I don't know why anybody listens to this.
Is this tea?
I don't know, James. I'm just talking.
This is not tea.
Just expressing myself. I don't know why anybody...
It's not tea. It's not worthy for the internet.
Okay. We're going to end this. Because, yeah.
Check and make sure.
Okay,
we're doing
so
good.
This is such a scattered episode, I think.
I think we're fine.
You think that we're good?
Yeah.
Do you think that we're just creating things together so good?
I'm playing with my dog's limp foot right now.
Okay. So one of my struggles with the podcast, and another reason why I feel like I was a bit passive on why we haven't been pushing out new episodes, was I don't know who in the world wants to listen to us talk. Whenever we go on live streams, everybody's like, you guys should have a podcast, or you guys should like bring the podcast back. I don't know why you guys want to listen to me.
Yeah.
And that was a struggle. It's kind of a joke, but at the same time, it's like really like a bit of an insecurity, because I want to make sure that
it's a good insecurity, though.
I want to make sure that James and I are having fun first and foremost, because oftentimes we can get way too serious about this stuff and end up hating each other in a way. Not that extreme.
No, just period.
Yeah.
Just hating each other.
So one thing that we have kind of ingrained and we have to constantly remind ourselves is this is fun. We work together. This is what we want to be doing.
Right.
So drop your attitude, because this is fun.
We forget it's fun probably 80% of the time, at least.
At least 80% of the time. Because we get so serious about it. And like, I'm a perfectionist, you're a perfectionist. We have to make sure the shot is right. Meanwhile, I'm just like, can you just press record? And it makes all of our stuff great, but sometimes to the sacrifice of fun. So we have to remember to have fun.
Yeah.
And with this podcast, we're going to be talking to each other for a freaking hour. So we have to make sure that we have fun and
there's
have
magic that comes out of fun too,
friendly
for the content.
banter and not interrupt each other. Right. That was me being passive aggressive because James interrupted me. We have to make it an enjoyable process for the content, for our happiness. But we also have to keep it like on track. And, you know, people don't want to just listen to a bunch of garbage, because then they would just go to a garbage truck parade.
Ooh.
And like turn their headphones on to 11.
I'd go to that with some nose plugs.
Yeah, but I just lost that whole thing. Basically,
are you having a stroke?
Banana.
She just went cross-eyed and said banana.
Did I?
Yeah, you just kind of like looked down.
Anyway,
like your brain has left your body.
We have to remember to have fun, but we also have to remember to stay on topic and speak valuable words out of our mouth. So that.
Okay.
All right, bye.
What were you gonna say? What was I gonna say that I thought was interesting about what you said? Oh God. Moving on. I don't remember. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do some updates, some life updates.
Okay, life updates. Let's go, sister.
Ready? Okay, brother.
Yeah.
Happy 2020. We're living in the past because we don't know what the new year is like. But if you're listening to this, how's it going? Tell us. And next. Other things.
Is Miami still a thing?
Is Miami still there, or is it underwater? We got new monitors, which you guys can't see because you're listening. And I am so slow at editing on a desktop.
Yes.
And I'm questioning my purchase.
You've been struggling.
I've been really struggling. Like, for whatever reason, I can't, like, this is it. And I don't know, this might be offensive, so I'm not going to use that example. I feel like my brain moves...
I hope it's racist.
No,
I really
James.
hope it's racist.
I think my brain moves faster than my hands when I'm editing on desktop.
You're a freaking savant. Got it.
I'm a superhero. So it's really hard to do stuff.
Right.
It's hard to be creative.
No, that's exactly right.
When I'm still trying to figure out how to use this like trackpad. I feel like I'm moving at
that's
maybe
actually
90%.
A really good way to express that. What happens when you switch to another thing that you're not so used to, but you have the skills to do the operation, but you're using new tools.
Yeah.
Your brain is going faster than your hands will go.
Yeah. So I know that it's just muscle memory, but sometimes I just get irritated and I just pull my laptop out and just go, I just need to finish this thing. I don't have time to play. James, do you know these games?
There were some the other day, but as of today,
I'm not playing them.
games are in the household.
No, they're not being played.
No.
I don't play no games. Yeah. And that could be a bit.
You took those games and you tossed them off the balcony years ago. You said, I'm serial about life.
I am so not playing games. So that's a little bit of a struggle, but I'm enjoying the monitor life. Like, it's exciting. It's great. It's fun.
I think you'll get used to it, because just like it's the same thing as when you learned how to use your laptop. It's the exact same thing. It's just that you're using a new set of tools, and your hands are in different positions, and you're looking up as opposed to down to your laptop. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that are different about what's going on. You chose the trackpad life.
I tried the Magic Mouse because I swore by Magic Mouse. When I first started, I had a Magic Mouse and I was the business about it. And I still have that Magic Mouse, but for whatever reason, I was not as fast as I was with this trackpad. Yeah. And then I also have the full keyboard, the full Apple keyboard.
Yeah, with the number pad and what have you.
Yeah, and I hate the number pad. I didn't get it on purpose. I got it because of the color.
Yeah, they only had a large black one, right?
Yeah, I wanted everything to look cohesive. So sad. But honestly, I kind of want us to switch. Would you be down to switch?
No.
Dang it.
But we can get you a white one instead.
No, that's a waste of money.
Here we are. We've made it to racism.
You're so stupid.
You want the white keyboard, Christina?
I just want the keyboard to be smaller. If I could take a saw and cut it, that would be perfect. But
you probably could. You'd have to figure out a place to put the arrow keys. You could glue them to you get a piece of cardboard and glue them to the top of the keyboard.
Yeah.
This is really quaint, this small one, and
stop rubbing it in. Gosh, jerk.
I want you to have that.
Yeah.
But also maybe you can find another black one that's smaller. Right?
I paid money for this. What am I going to do? Not use
Return it. Sell it.
James,
Give
I can't
it to the
return
poor.
it. It's been more than 2 weeks.
Salvage it for parts. Build
Salvation Army.
Build Salvation. Here's an Apple keyboard for all your creatives that come through. So
you took that one a little bit too far. Everybody's creative.
I don't know anything about the demographic of the Salvation Army. I have used desktop for quite a while, so I'm very comfortable with it, but I'm also comfortable on a laptop. Mm-hmm. I'm actually more comfortable on a desktop than a laptop in some ways, though. I'm faster.
Yeah.
So that's how we're different is so this isn't interesting.
Is it rude that I'm checking Twitter as you're speaking?
This is by like episode 35, it's just gonna be like
I'm editing.
Hey, hold on, gotta hit spacebar here.
This client needs this thing.
Cut that. And I'm working on a photo for.
Oh, another thing, housekeeping. We're like doing 5 times the amount of client work that we've done in the past, and that's exciting. It's exciting and horrifying.
I'd say since the last time we made a podcast episode, probably.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for laying that out.
I was just trying to make a finite point in time for them to reference.
So we've been really busy with freelance stuff, and it's so fun being able to like refine and be like, James, I need you working on this at this time, and I need to work on this at this time, and you can't say no or else I'm going to get mad. Thing. Time blocking.
Throws your lamp at me.
Yeah, with a big pole. No.
Right.
James has a dent in his forehead.
I said no one time.
Funny.
That is something interesting that's happened in our life. Very interesting and very powerful is we have taken on a lot more new clients, and
this is where I've wanted to be.
We're in a really good spot from that perspective. Now, what's interesting about this is not supposed to be our end goal.
Oh,
we do not want
not.
this.
Don't say that. We want our clients, but it's not our end goal.
We don't want this to be where we end up. We want to make our own things full time and make money from it in various ways.
But this is an interesting part of the creative journey that we didn't expect. Honestly, when we quit our jobs, like we were doing freelance stuff, but our goal was like, let's just grow our channels as fast as possible and be influencers. But it didn't work out that way, and bills still needed to get paid. So we've gone into this freelancing world, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying what we're doing.
Yeah, it's still a means to an end.
It's definitely a means to an end, but it's so much better than working at a bank.
It is, and there's a lot of things that we both really enjoy about it. I love planning. I love planning out creative projects for whatever set of assets we're working on for said clients on a given day. I think that's a lot of fun. I think it's really cool that we have created such a cohesive team work together, which I think is something we could probably pull from for this podcast. Conversations about how to conversate with each other and have planning meetings. That's one episode. I literally want to have an episode about planning meetings.
We'll plan that out.
Whenever we do that, it's already there.
Okay, cool.
It's already there, sister squad. Boss babe.
Lit.
Hashtag boss babe.
Gosh.
Whenever we have a positive planning meeting, it is very good. It's very useful.
We had a positive planning meeting the other day.
A PPM.
A PPM. We had a PPM the other day, and it was like the best thing
ever. We
got
so much done.
I can't believe how good that went.
It's great.
Why can't we do that all the
great.
time? Here's a trick with planning meetings, since we have time to fill. Stay focused. Yes. Can you? Where's the note for that planning meeting?
Oh,
because I want you to write this down.
Okay. Let me just gonna go over here.
Thank you, James. So
I don't have to go far because I'm on my desk already.
So stupid. One thing that I've learned with planning meetings, oftentimes James and I will be talking about 3 different topics: freelance, our joint channel, the Reds, and then the James Red channel. And then on top of that, we have the podcast. So we've put a lot of things on our plates.
We need to work out today, by the way.
Yes, we do. And I have a live stream in a little bit. But so we have typically 3 to 5 things that we're focusing on at any given point in time. And the trick with a successful planning meeting is we need to stay focused. Yes. We have these, like the last planning meeting, we had 3 topics that we were talking about. So with freelance, basically we needed to lay out, okay, what are we doing over the next 5 days? And we have thing 1, 2, 3, and then we go into detail about thing 1, thing 2, and then thing 3. Yes. And then when we're done talking about freelance, we can then go to talking about the Reds or talking about the podcast. Yes. I think that one was so successful because once we got all of our freelance stuff laid out, we don't need to go back to it. If we do, it's a very short thing, and then we move on. Whereas oftentimes we're just talking about everything at once, and that's also talking about nothing at once. So knowledge.com. Where did you write that down at?
What did I write down? What did you ask me?
I'll just write it over here. Go ahead, talk.
Oh, okay.
This is also cool that we can honestly work in the middle of podcasting.
Exactly. Another thing that was incredibly useful, and I want to keep this brief because I do want to cover this in more detail in the future with a full episode. Yeah. But an outline, starting with an outline so that because what happened with this last planning meeting, I think one of the fundamental pieces of the puzzle that made everything flow so well was that we had an outline of exactly what we were supposed to talk about, and we stuck to that. It was this, and this, 1, 2, and 3, right? Okay, we're done with 1, move to 2. All right, we're done with 2, move to 3. Are we satisfied with everything? Okay, we have successfully completed our planning meeting. Whereas a lot of times it can be very scattered. You don't know exactly what. You always feel like you're not talking about everything that's happening because we have 35,000 things happening at once.
It's like you're talking,
So, just get a piece of paper and a pencil and make an outline, and that is a fantastic way to have a very productive meeting, and then take notes.
Yes,
around that. Sure. Right. So as she was talking, she would say something to me. I'd just type it in just to get it, just to solidify it in my brain,
or to get
also
it
have
out of
documented.
Your brain. Yeah.
That too. But you were introducing new things into my brain.
Yeah. Whenever I have things in my brain, I need to get them out of my brain as soon as humanly possible.
Yeah.
because like when I get super overwhelmed, I'll just write everything down and then I'll show it to James and I go, see what's happening in here.
She'll hold up an iPad. We just got an iPad and a new pencil because she had papers all across her desk, just thousands of papers. And I was like, hey, Christina, you want to check out that new iPad with the pencil? Because you like to write.
Yeah.
This is a good way to make your life not be so chaotic, and you can actually get things done because you don't have papers on top of your keyboard. And and so she'll hold up this iPad and it's just mind vomit. And it's so useful. Because we're not meant to keep all that stuff in our brain all day long.
Right. So I've just been really inspired and excited. I love we also just got we also got back from a trip, and I love getting back into our flow. I love the fact that James and I need to work out like right now. Typically we do it around like 11:30, which I think is better for me to do in the middle of the day as opposed to the end of the day. So it's just nice being back in our flow. I feel like we're in a really solid spot, creative wise, business wise, and I'm just excited to crush it. These things come peaks and valleys where it's like, I'm on top of the world, I'm creating everything, I'm accomplishing all my goals. But there's also like times where it's like, what am I doing with my life?
Right.
We just so happen to not be in that place right now. But I'll give it 2 months. We'll be like making a podcast, like, what's the meaning of creativity? Really, maybe you should just stop.
Right.
And then we'll get out of it and go on a trip and are hungry for life again. And there you go. Can we like stop the podcast so I can just create?
Oh my gosh, Christina, you're itching with enthusiasm. I wouldn't want to hold you back from that. The last thing I want to say is that moving forward for you guys, if you are creating things together or on your own, what are the things that you struggle with and how? Because on my personal channel, I gain a lot of direct inspiration from the comments I get. Somebody will ask a question. I go,
yeah,
beautiful. Somebody's struggling with that thing. I'm here to help.
Yeah.
I would like to have more of that for this. And so wherever you're at, maybe you're listening to this while driving down the road, wait until you're at a red light.
Text and drive.
Wait until you're at a red light. And then go over to sign into twitter.com, open up your, go to our profiles, send over a question, and make that question be as detailed as possible. Then send it the slow way, because you're going to be on a laptop and you could just use the key command to send it, but send it with your finger, and do all of this until you reach the next red light. That is it for this podcast.
Yeah, I think that this is a good place to end it. I don't know if you're being serious, but I think this is a good place to end it.
I was trying to paint a picture of somebody at a red light. The light turns green. They start driving. They're tweeting to us on a laptop while driving.
Oh.
And they have to send it before they get to the next red light. I issued a challenge.
Okay.
Do not do that.
Yeah.
Whenever you're in a safe environment, reach out to us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, if you're watching the video anywhere. And honestly, talk to us about what you're struggling with, because it's actually good insight. We really don't know sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes we're just making content to stroke our own ego. So I really want to, I like the conversation, I think is important, and don't hesitate. No question is too stupid unless you're asking it as James, and it's like, James, why are you asking a stupid question? Just ask us questions. Seriously. You'll find our handles in the show notes below. And that's where you can tweet us or send us a direct message on Instagram. I would advise Twitter, because it just makes more sense to do a question kind of thing on Twitter, and then we'll screenshot it and remember it for future episodes. Yeah. But I think that this is a solid place to end it. We don't need to make it an hour. Like, we don't need to do that. No. We could make these episodes 14 seconds if we want. Hi guys, welcome back, and goodbye.
Yeah. Sometimes a time limit helps. It makes things more concise.
Yeah, it does. A 4-minute podcast. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate your friendship, your eardrums, your ear holes, your earlobes. Some people don't have earlobes. I don't have earlobes. James has earlobes and they're the squishiest. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you.
Cooper's ears are floppy.
Cooper's ears are floppy. If you are new around here listening to the podcast, maybe somebody shared it with you, you can subscribe. We're everywhere. You're listening to it on a podcast platform, so make sure you subscribe so you'll get these weekly episodes. We post every Tuesday now. It's not Mondays, it's Tuesday.
Yeah.
So you can expect an hour's worth of value, give or take, every Tuesday. And yeah, so
we appreciate you guys. Goodbye.
Bye.
Do, 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 do.